With the third pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Adbul Carter, defensive end, Penn State. With the 25th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Jaxson Dart, quarterback, Mississippi.
I want to be a part of it.
New York, New York.
What's up, baby? How you doing?
Good, baby.
Good. All right. I want to talk about big market, small team.
The Jets.
There you go. That's the other one. No, this time around, I think I wanted to talk off-season hot seats that I don't think are being discussed enough. I think there's a lot of hot seat talk around the league this year. We always do that preseason. That's exciting, right? It's like, who's going to get fired?
Yep.
I think the New York Giants right now have a coach and a GM on the hot seat.
Yep.
This is a really interesting team because everyone is not penciling, with permanent marker, putting them in as a top 5 draft position team. Everyone's talking about the Giants as if they're going to be horrible. And I have a lot of negative things to say about this football team. Particularly the front office.
Yeah.
But you have especially kind of like raised a question that has been really interesting to me this offseason whenever they come up when we're just talking ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you have some good reasoning behind it. I don't know that it's rock solid, but it's there.
Yeah.
And what if the Giants aren't ass? What if they're not straight booty cheeks? What if they're just okay? Like, what if they're in the hunt? In the hunt graphic, what if they're not the worst team in football?
I think that's where they're going to be.
Right, and I want to pass it to you because I kind of just want to hear this take. I have some ideas about it myself. I have a lot to say about Daboll and Joe Shane in particular and kind of my detest for him. But I do want to hear about, I guess, the second worst GM in New York the last decade. I don't know. Shout out Dave Gettleman.
That's right.
But more particularly, I just want to hear about kind of why you don't think this team's going to be horrible, because I think everyone else does.
Well, I think it starts with that front seven on the defense. It's disgusting. It's the front seven is disgusting. Dexter Lawrence is him.
Yeah.
Dexter Lawrence is him.
Yep.
And then you have Brian Burns who is proven to be maybe not like the creme de la creme of pass rushers, but that tier right below it, that B tier of pass rushers, a very good player.
Can I give it a comp?
Sure.
I think he's the Devonta Smith of Julius Peppers.
Yeah. No, that's accurate. That's accurate. Like a guy who's
right?
got... No, it does.
Like the best two you're going to
get.
get.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
And then you've now drafted Adbul Carter, who is going to be a freak of nature. He's going to be probably a top 5 to 10 edge rusher here in the next year or two. And then you have rotating Kayvon Thibodeaux, who, hasn't lived up to like the number 5 draft pick, but also does not suck. So I just like that D line is going to be like that's nightmare fuel for so many people.
They're 4 deep.
They're 4 deep. 100%. They're 4. They're like 5-6 deep. That's the real spill of it. And like, yeah, their cornerbacks lack. I mean, I know that, but if your pass rush is good, that's not going to matter that much. You know what I mean?
I think Javon Holland, too, at the safety spot was a good get for them for the DB room.
It was.
Yeah, and they got some young guys who I think
I
are
really
still...
like Xavier McKinney on this team.
We'll get to it. Yeah.
But so you start with that front seven that's just disgusting. And then you go over to the offense and like, I don't know, I feel like I'm on an island completely alone still. I've been on this island for 3-4 years. Russell Wilson does not suck. Russell Wilson by no means sucks. He's mid. He's very mid, but he is indeed that. He's mid.
Yeah.
He's had 2 losing seasons in his entire career. One was that awful fail of a Nat Hackett year. I mean, it was giant fail. And then the next was the first year with Sean Payton, which was 8-9. It's a barely losing season.
Yeah, and that roster was really bad.
The roster was terrible.
Yeah.
It was not set up for him, So I don't know if you have Andrew Thomas healthy, if you have Malik Nabers healthy, if you can get something out of that Tyrone Tracy, Cam Scatterbo backfield combo.
I actually think you can.
I think you can too.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, let's be clear. Do I think this team is like a 10-win team? Like, no, I don't. But I do think they are like an 8 or 9-win team.
Okay.
And it just now, granted, I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen, right? I mean, Andrew Thomas has had health issues the last few years. Like, if he's gone, it's probably like a 5-win team.
That would be my interjection.
Yeah.
I think when I look at the offense, I do think that there are certain players in the league where you have like a thin unit and a superstar.
Yeah.
It's kind of like NBA style. Like think like Kobe on the Lakers after the Shaq trade.
Sure.
Where it's okay.
Where he's just like putting up 50 a night, but they're like not really going
We're starting like, the ghost of Corey Maggette at
literally.
point guard. And
Shannon
it's like
Brown.
Smush Parker.
Right,
Absolute like dookie butts. Karan Butler is your 2.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about this O-line. Like I actually think Andrew Thomas is maybe the most underrated left tackle,
easily.
like when healthy. And he's like probably like what, a 92 overall in Madden, 93. He's a great left tackle.
Yeah.
But you mentioned it. It's the health concerns.
Yep.
And if he's not there, the rest of this O-line is hot dookie.
Yeah, it's hot ass.
And I think that could
miss
be an
after
issue.
miss after miss with that O-line.
But I'm with you. If he stays healthy, you do have something.
I totally agree. And I also think that like when you look at when you look at the landscape of the Giants, particularly when it comes to like the draft, we feel like, okay, this was a start over because they drafted Jaxson Dart. Jaxson Dart's not going to play this year. He's going to be QB.
I hope not.
He's going to be QB3. You have Russell Wilson, and if Russell Wilson for some reason gets injured or doesn't work out or starts really falling off a cliff, you still have Jameis Winston, who is going to go out there and throw 30 touchdowns.
I love Jameis.
He's going to throw.
I wish he was the starter.
He's going to throw 27 picks, but he's going to throw 30 touchdowns. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. So like I do understand the logic when people look and there's like, they're going to start Jaxson Dart, and it's like they're not though. Like quiet as kept, they do have Russell Wilson they just brought in to be their quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think that Pittsburgh Steelers team was any good last year, and he did take them to the playoffs. I will say he wasn't great down the stretch.
No, he was terrible down the
stretch.
But
do they need him to be great down the stretch in New York? Because are they like, if we're really soul searching here, are they really going to be in the playoffs in the NFC? Probably not.
No.
Right.
I think they're gonna be one of those sneaky teams that you look at towards week 13, 14 and go, oh, wait a minute, if they pop off a couple of wins here, they're gonna get in the wild card 100%. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That's just how I feel, right? It's like, okay, if they can win like 5 in a row, which they won't, but like if they could, then they would be in the playoffs. They'd be like the 7 seed.
Yes. I want to, by the way, that's great analysis. Like I do think that like we do have to sometimes talk like players and like what's actually happening on the field. And like sometimes we overlook that because last year's team or like big picture, but I do want to segue to big picture because I think there's a really interesting kind of bad marriage going on here. And they kind of remind me of the couple where you look at him and you go, why are they together? Like he's into hiking and she's into like sitting around and eating. Like he's really fit. Yeah. She's obese. Like what's going on here? What is this couple? And that's kind of how I feel about Daboll and Joe Schoen.
Absolutely.
I think Daboll is such an interesting coach because
he's a good coach.
I think he is too. But it's fascinating to me because he is one of those coaches where we all have kind of collectively decided he's a good coach, despite the fact that he doesn't really win football games.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it has to do.
He's had such bad quarterback play.
Well,
he's gotten the most out of what he's had.
He's had bad quarterback play, but I think it's a lot of like what I mentioned with the marriage, where we go, God, when Doug's not with Betsy, man, he's a chiller, man. He's cool. Like he'll crack a beer open.
100%.
But God, when his bitch of a wife gets around, he's just an asshole.
I totally agree.
And I wonder, like, I honestly believe, and I want to get into Joe Schoen and kind of this front office and what I'm seeing here.
Sure.
But does that not feel like what it is? Like this is a good coach who is trapped in kind of a bad marriage with a GM who is sandbagging him?
I think Joe Schoen sucks. I think when you look at when you look at all that went on during that Hard Knocks, preseason, and you get a look into, the process with Barkley and like completely fumbling that, and then his like 13, 14-year-old son laying on the couch being like, Dad, you have to trade for Jaden Daniels. He's him. You know, like you only get this job one time, and he's like, yeah, maybe. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know the efforts he went to maybe try to trade for Jaden Daniels, but his son was fully right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
you
know, I don't know. It's much easier said than done, obviously, but I think when you're in like that big of a need at quarterback and Penix and Nix and JJ are all still on the board, I think you got to just take one of them. You know what I mean?
I do too,
like,
and I'm
the
biggest
Malik.
Malik.
I was gonna say I love.
I'm the
Nabers,
biggest Malik Nabers fan there is, but you put the cart before the horse there.
100%.
Yeah, well, and the proof is in the pudding. I mean, Saquon Barkley had one of the best running back seasons we've ever seen. And Xavier McKinney was all-pro last year in Green Bay. He was excellent.
Yeah,
I mean, he seemed like you got to pick every game.
Yeah.
And again, you move off of those great pieces. They go on and have great years. You couldn't pay them because of the quarterback you paid, but then you trade your quarterback during the season.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Who you just paid.
Makes no sense.
And again, I'm no Daniel Jones truther. I think the guy sucks. But you kind of have to see you have to see that through at that point because you have tanked your own roster to make room for this guy.
Yeah.
And look, I think the worst thing that he could have done was go on that show.
Yeah,
because
100%.
for me, what I saw. And I talked about this last year, but maybe it's not as fresh in everybody's mind.
Sure.
That's why I talked about the Daboll marriage with this guy.
Yeah.
I saw through body language, through words, and through energy, a man who does not have a plan.
Yes.
Who doesn't
totally
have
agree.
a vision, who does not have conviction, and who does not have gumption.
Yeah.
And I feel like with a team like New York, and a team in New York, and a franchise like the Giants, Wellington Mara has to be rolling over in his grave, seeing this guy go on there and going,
it's such a shame, man.
let me talk to Seth about what he thinks we should do with Saquon Barkley. Well, I'll tell you what you should do.
Damn.
Give him a contract, buddy.
Figure it out.
I mean, Philly
Figure
gave
it
him
out.
$30 million for what, 4 years?
Yeah.
He's the best player in football at his position.
Yeah.
So this is my big picture concern. And when I say hot seats, it has to do with this GM and kind of the future of this team.
Yeah.
With this coach. But I'm with you. I think this year they are being a little bit too disrespected because the roster is good.
Yeah, I think everybody's just looking at and there's a world where like I see Daboll at least personality wise, much like I see Sean Payton. So there is a world where these two just like the same thing you just said, marriage, right? I could see those two really hating each other. I could see Daboll really hating Russ.
Yeah.
Really is what it comes down to. Not
Yeah.
But
for
like
sure.
there is talent. Like I said, I just don't think that Russell Wilson sucks. I think he's mid. I think Jameis Winston is mid. I think Jameis Winston should have been a starter in the league the last 5 years, and for some reason was just like hanging out in New Orleans.
And bare minimum, it's better than what they had in their last year.
Period.
Yeah.
They're both definitely better than Tommy Cutlets or whatever I don't know. Who else did they roll out there last? Drew Lock, right?
Drew Lock, and Daniel Jones for the first part.
Yeah, I knew that. We already touched on that. I guess I just feel like that's a massive upgrade at the most important position. And then like, I'm willing to be wrong. Like Freudian slip.
Same guy.
Same guy,
Dart,
fully. Jaxson Dart, yeah. Jaxson Dart does feel like Drew Lock, and Drew Lock does feel like Jaxson Dart.
Broy white guys who are just like, I like to rip it,
who
dude.
Got like rocket arms,
yeah,
it's like no talent outside of that.
Yeah, no feel, no
I don't
touch.
know. I feel like when you look at the last 15 years of the NFL, it's like why are we so disrespectful to Russ, but we're not that disrespectful to Aaron Rodgers? You know what I mean? Like they've kind of been at that same table for many years. I mean, obviously Aaron has the MVPs, but Russ has the Super Bowls.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like Russ went to 2. That's more than Aaron. It's double what Aaron ever went to, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they both have 1 Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
Both have succeeded at the highest level. And I just feel like if I'm looking over at this 40-year-old quarterback and being like, oh, maybe he can save the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's like, okay, well, why don't we have the same energy for Russ? Because we just saw him take the Pittsburgh Steelers to the playoffs. Really.
Right.
You know what I mean? I get it, right? Like Russ is like kind of a dweeb. He's kind of a loser. Like he doesn't really have juice like that.
I think that was a lot of it. I think a lot of us were waiting for him to fail, and then he did, annoying. And it's become a pile on.
I think he's preachy. He like does some dumb shit, and then he goes to the state podium and he's like, God told me to throw it, and you're like, dude, but come on, man.
But is it not just bullying now, kind of?
It is.
Like,
that's how I feel.
It's like cyberbullying, which is I know it's like so pussy, but
I'm telling you, I'm on the island by myself, and I have been for many years.
Yes.
Even after that first year in Denver, I'm like, well, I mean, he's about to get Sean Payton. Like,
yeah.
Nat Hackett is not an NFL coach.
Yeah.
And we saw that proven time and time again. Look at what happened with the Jets.
Right.
Like, not a guy who should be on an NFL roster.
Right.
On any staff in America.
No,
right?
but I
Like,
mean, but again, it's an interesting point of view.
Yeah.
We play favorites.
We do.
And one of the things I talked about on our Raiders video that we were talking about is Geno Smith being a stabilizing
100%.
force at quarterback.
100%.
Are they not kind of the same thing
Yes,
at this point in their
100%.
careers? And
I think they're similar teams.
but we like Geno.
I think
so
their
we
teams-
all go,
Yeah,
yeah, the
100%.
Raiders have a chance. They got Geno. Geno's underrated.
Yeah.
But with Russ, it's like, oh, they're
Genty,
cooked.
yeah.
Let Russ be cooked, not
Yeah.
let, we
Yeah.
we love, there's just certain
Yeah,
guys.
I mean, I get it. It's
We-
cornball, right? Let Russ cook, and then he does the Subway commercials.
The
And you're like,
unlimited,
oh my
yeah.
gosh, dude,
Yeah.
you're so obnoxious. But like, the reality is like I've watched bro just be really, really good at football for the last 15 years, and I don't think he's not turning back the clock and being Seattle Russ again.
No.
But I think he is a guy who can get you, 7 to 12 wins any given season, depending on the situation. And like we've seen that be the case.
Yep.
We saw him, take literally all it took was for Sean Payton to come in, similar roster, and they almost double their wins. And then last year, how many games did the Steelers win? 10, 11, something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They
So,
were a
okay.
wild card team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And they weren't good.
No.
Like they were, bad O-line. Like
No, I mean
whatever running backs,
they were bad
George,
enough.
George Pickens is your only player, and he's a head case. I don't know.
They were bad enough that they flipped the roster this year.
100%.
I mean, so that,
Malik Nabers is way better than George Pickens, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Russ did say that he's the best receiver he's ever played with, and
There
I
you
agree.
go. And
Yeah.
Russ really specializes in like deep ball moon balls, and that's Nabers. What has he been doing since his LSU days?
He's
Jaden
unbelievable.
Daniels deep ball and moon balls.
And it
You know
doesn't
what I
even
mean?
matter
Like,
because they like one thing we talked about with the Cardinals with Marvin Harrison. Brian Daboll was great last year at scheming up
Yes.
layups.
Yes.
Just get the ball to Malik. We'll figure out the rest with bad quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And so I'm with you. And I want to know from Giants fans, like what kind of year would I guess the big question I'm asking you is what kind of year would Joe Shane and Brian Daboll and this Giants team have to have for you to not riot in New Jersey for these guys, call for heads?
Yeah.
Because I do think that both are on the hot seat.
Yep.
They're attached, unfortunately. I think if you fire one, you fire the other. It just feels like it's a regime.
Yep.
And do you agree with Andy? Do you think this team's got a puncher's chance at being okay, or do you think they're going to be horrible? Like, let us know. I don't know. I don't know where Giants Nation is at this point.
I don't know either.
Probably depressed.
Yeah.
All right.
We've been there. I get it.
Yep. We'll see you later, bro.
Peace.
Yep.